All of us must have heard the soulful "And I Will Always Love You" vocals. It might not have been sung by Whitney herself, but the song, because of its high vocals, has gone far and beyond in the world. It was one of the many sensational vocal hits by Whitney Houston, and the track alone has cemented her name in history as one of the best vocalists of all time. Growing up with such great vocals was an added bonus to the beautiful face and the sensual body of Whitney Houston. She quickly gained recognition as both a sensational singer and a model at a young age. This recognition threw Whitney into early limelight and worldwide fame. Things had seemed really smooth for her, and many people thought she was going places because of how popular she was, and she indeed went places. As a result, many people thought she lived the perfect life, even after she died in her bathtub at the age of 48.
Happened here at 3:43 yesterday afternoon when a member of Houston's entourage located her body inside this hotel.
But that's far from the truth. Whitney Houston's life wasn't all glamour and luxury as we would have all thought. In fact, she had a grim reality filled with health and drug issues. In today's video, we'll explore the sad story of one of the most awarded entertainers of all time. We'll look into how her marriage and her drug use led to her downward spiral, and her eventual sad death. This is the story of Whitney Houston. Early life. Whitney Houston was born on August 9, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, to Emily Sissy and John Russell Houston Jr., who were influential figures in her life. Sissy was a famous gospel and soul singer who later went on to win 2 Grammys for herself, while John was a military serviceman before he worked for the city government under Mayor Kenneth A. Gibson. Growing up, Whitney was surrounded by music. Her family had strong ties to the music industry, with relatives like Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin, who later became established singers at the time, and Leontine Price, who became an opera singer. Whitney's family had diverse backgrounds, including Dutch and Native American ancestry. Whitney had 3 older brothers, each contributing their own uniqueness to the family's music dynamic, 2 of whom were singers. Her maternal half-brother Gary Garland, a singer and a former basketball player, and Michael Houston, a songwriter and road manager. Even if Whitney was not supposed to be a singer, it was evident that her surroundings growing up would have inspired her to sing. But she was a born natural.
Create a little thing lower down. Yeah, that's what that should do it.
They moved to East Orange, New Jersey, seeking stability 3 years after the Newark race riots of 1967. Whitney attended Franklin Elementary School, which is now called Whitney E. Houston Academy of Creative and Performing Arts, before later going to Mount St. Dominic Academy in 6th grade. Music played a central role in Whitney's upbringing. She sang in the choir at New Hope Baptist Church and learned to play the piano under her mother's guidance. She was so good at singing that at just 12 years old, Whitney made her solo debut at church, singing "Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah," showcasing the powerful voice that would make her a global sensation.
I've been working in the studio since I was 12. My mom took me in the studio, and I've been working professionally since I was 12 years old.
With her family's support and inspiration from artists like Chaka Khan and Gladys Knight, Whitney's musical journey began to take shape. Early career. Whitney Houston wasn't always the global superstar we know. Her journey began right at home, singing in the church choir at a young age, by 5. Her talent was undeniable, and by 14 in 1977, she was already singing background for her mom's band on the cabaret circuit in New York City, even scoring a standing ovation at a Manhattan performance.
It was terrific. And she tore the church up.
While her voice was taking flight, Whitney's good looks were turning heads too. In 1978, she became a fashion model, one of the first black women to grace the cover of 17 magazine. This success was exciting, but music remained her passion. Even before graduating high school in 1981, Whitney's voice was in demand. She sang backup for established artists like Chaka Khan and Lou Rawls. honing her skills and building her reputation. Record labels noticed her potential, but Whitney's mom wisely insisted she finish school first. After graduation, things started to move quickly. Whitney signed with a management team, and her voice landed on a song by the band Material in 1982. A critic even called her contribution one of the most gorgeous ballads you've ever heard. This masterpiece caught the attention of Clive Davis, head of Arista Records. He was so impressed by her live performance in 1983 that he offered her a record deal on the spot. Whitney, still a teenager, signed with Arista in 1983. It wasn't an immediate jump to stardom, though. The label took their time, carefully crafting the right image and sound for this powerhouse vocalist. But with her incredible voice and growing experience, Whitney Houston was destined to take the music world by storm. And just as you expected, she did. International prominence. The sensational rise of Whitney Houston amid her success in the music industry is undoubtedly remarkable. Along with the release of her self-titled debut album, specifically on Valentine's Day in 1985, and co-produced by legends like Kashif, Jermaine Jackson, Michael Masser, and Narada Michael Walden, her Race to the Sky scratched the surface. The record not only conquered the charts, but sieged them, hanging on the Billboard 200 list for over 3.5 years, only to top it in March 1986, remaining there for an amazing 14 weeks. However, it was not purely about the numbers. Critics and fans as well could not stop marveling at the treasure of her mighty vocals and incredible talent. In a Rolling Stone review, she was described as one of the most exciting new voices in years, while in a New York Times review, her album was praised as a showcase for her exceptional singing skills.
Agreed. Her debut album sold 2 million copies. Like Julian Lennon, Whitney comes from a musical family. Her mother is Cissy Houston, and her cousin is Dionne Warwick. Whitney also models.
The album did not only succeed in the United States, it also became popular internationally, and topped other musical charts in more than 10 countries. Houston had scored 3 #1 hits from the same album: You Give Good Love, Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, and Greatest Love of All, which made Houston the first female solo artist to take away honors from a solo album. Recognition poured in from all corners, with 4 Grammy nominations and a win for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for Saving All My Love for You. Despite a controversy over her eligibility for the Best New Artist category, Houston's talent spoke for itself, earning her numerous awards and accolades, including 14 Billboard Awards and 7 American Music Awards.
Oh my goodness. Well, first I must give thanks to God who makes it all possible for me.
Houston's impact extended beyond the music industry. She broke barriers on MTV, where Black female artists were underrepresented, paving the way for others like Janet Jackson and Jody Watley to gain acceptance on the channel. Her success also opened doors for African-American female artists on pop radio, leaving an indelible mark on the music landscape. With her debut album listed among Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time and recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's definitive 200 list, Whitney Houston's entrance into the music industry remains a timeless milestone, celebrated for its groundbreaking impact and enduring influence. That just marked the beginning of her success, because in June 1987, she released her second album, Whitney, which solidified her position as a global icon. Of course, some critics felt that the album was somewhat similar to her debut album, but that didn't stop people from listening, with the commercial success going off the charts. Aside from being the first woman in history to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200, she also hit #1 in both the US and the UK, a very rare feat to achieve. She was just not good, she was an exceptional generational talent. The album's lead single, I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, went on to become a worldwide sensation, as it topped the charts in 17 countries and sold over 14 million copies all over the world. But her talent on the album didn't stop there. She had 3 more consecutive #1 singles from the album, and consequently, she made history by becoming the first recording artist ever to achieve 7 consecutive #1 hits, surpassing even the Beatles and the Bee Gees. It's not only music charts that saw her impact. she used her position for charity and social good as well. From backing Nelson Mandela and the anti-apartheid movement, to donating a huge sum of $250,000 to the United Negro College Fund. Houston's area of impact stretched way and further beyond the stage. Of course, there were criticisms, controversies, and being called a sellout, but Houston remained resilient, defending her artistic choices, saying, "If you're going to have a long career, there's a certain way to do it, and I did it that way. I am not ashamed of it." Her most popular offering as a solo artist, I'm Your Baby Tonight, the third studio album, was released in 1990. She used this platform to demonstrate her versatility and creativity, earning praises for blending tough rhythmic grooves, soulful ballads, and up-tempo dance tracks. Her effect was noted not only by fans but also by critics, awarding her Grammy nominations, Billboard Awards, and Popular Choice Sports Emmy Award for her song One Moment in Time, performed for NBC's 1988 Summer Olympics coverage. Whitney became one of the biggest voices of her generation, setting the bar for many who followed, and whose songs still play on the air today, and for many more later in the future. Movie career. Whitney was not only involved in making songs that could move a soul, but she also made a few appearances in the movie industry. She transitioned into acting with The Bodyguard, a movie that was released in 1992. She played a superstar who hired a bodyguard to protect her from a crazy fan. She played this part excellently alongside Kevin Costner, even though people didn't like the interracial approach the movie took, which sparked some controversy. The movie grossed over $121 million in the US and $410 million worldwide. One of the most distinctive features of the movie was the soundtrack. Whitney Houston herself was responsible for the production of it, and it went down in history as one of the best, if not the best. Her rendition of I Will Always Love You was received with huge popularity around the world, topping the charts and receiving a Grammy Award in the Record of the Year category in 1994. The soundtrack of the film, which featured 6 of her songs, quickly became one of the fastest-selling albums, and still is the best-selling soundtrack album of all time. In addition to her role in The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston's career in the movie industry saw her take on various projects that showcased that she wasn't all just a voice. She could act too. Following the success of The Bodyguard, Houston starred in several other movies that were great too. In 1995, she starred alongside Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale, which was based on the novel by Terry McMillan. The movie was about the lives of 4 African-American women. It was so good that it received critical acclaim for its portrayal of female friendships, and Whitney Houston's performance as Savannah Jackson was praiseworthy. Whitney didn't stop there. She continued making movies, starring in various roles like the romantic. In the movie, she played Julia Biggs, the wife of a struggling preacher who receives divine assistance in the form of an angel, played by Washington, to help save their church and marriage. This meant that she could sing, play a serious role in movies, and can also perform excellently as a comedian. Drug use and downward spiral. Growing up in a Christian household, and with a mother who made a name for herself singing gospel music, Whitney was seen as the embodiment of a good girl. I mean, anyone with her voice would be regarded as an angel. And she was an angel, until she was introduced to drugs around the 2000s. It was around that time that she started behaving erratically. Reports of her being consistently late for interviews and events, canceling performances, and many more erratic displays started surfacing. Rumors then started circulating about her use of crack, particularly in connection with her husband, Bobby Brown. It got so bad that in January 2000, while traveling with Brown, her husband, Houston, was found with marijuana in her handbag at an airport in Hawaii. Of course, the charges were dropped, but suspicions about her drug use never ended. This came into place because just 2 months later, she missed a scheduled performance at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, raising further concerns about her well-being. Houston's troubles continued as she was fired from a performance at the Academy Awards due to concerns about her behavior and voice. Around the same time, her longtime friend and assistant, Robin Crawford, resigned, reportedly because Houston refused to seek help for her drug dependency. Despite these challenges, Houston signed a lucrative record deal in August 2001. However, her appearance at the Michael Jackson 30th anniversary special sparked further speculation about her drug use due to her extremely thin appearance. Houston attributed her weight loss to stress, but later admitted to Oprah Winfrey that drug use was the cause. Following the September 11th attacks, Houston's rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner was re-released, with proceeds benefiting relief efforts. In 2002, Whitney Houston addressed her drug use and personal struggles in an interview with Diane Sawyer, aiming to dispel rumors about her substance abuse. While denying allegations of crack cocaine use, she admitted to using alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, and pills. She also revealed that her mother had encouraged her to seek help for her drug dependency. Houston adamantly stated that her thin appearance was not due to an eating disorder, but acknowledged that her drug use had taken a toll on her health.
Is it alcohol? Is it marijuana? Is it cocaine? Is it pills?
It has been. At times.
All?
At times.
Furthermore, Houston opened up about her marriage to Bobby Brown, denying allegations of physical abuse against her by Brown, but admitting to hitting him. Despite these revelations, Houston released her fifth studio album, Just Whitney, in December 2002. The album received mixed reviews, but debuted strongly on the Billboard 200 chart, with the highest first-week sales of any album in Houston's career. Although the singles from the album did not perform well on the Billboard Hot 100, they found success on the dance charts. Just Whitney was certified platinum in the United States and sold approximately 2 million copies worldwide. In late 2003, Houston released her first Christmas album, One Wish, the Holiday Album, featuring traditional holiday songs. The album, produced in collaboration with Mervyn Warren and Gordon Chambers, achieved moderate success, with the single One Wish for Christmas reaching the top 20 on the adult contemporary chart. Additionally, the album received a gold certification in the US, further showcasing Houston's enduring appeal despite her personal struggles. Trouble in Paradise. In 1992, Whitney Houston married Bobby Brown, and it was one of the most popularly tumultuous relationships in the history of Hollywood. Whitney Houston's marriage to Bobby Brown was a whirlwind of highs and lows. Despite their instant connection and shared musical backgrounds, their union was marked by addiction, alcoholism, and marital strife. Over their 14-year marriage, they welcomed a daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, and achieved success in their respective careers. However, their personal struggles with substance abuse took a toll on their relationship. Both Houston and Brown had faced addiction before their marriage, but their challenges intensified over the years. Brown faced legal troubles related to drunk driving and possession, while Houston sought treatment in rehab multiple times. Their struggles with addiction ultimately became a significant factor in their marriage's ending. Despite their difficulties, friends described the couple as incredibly close, with a Bonnie and Clyde mentality of facing the world together. They supported each other in their careers, with Houston influencing Brown's vocal techniques and Brown helping Houston improve her dancing skills. It should have been evident that the relationship was going to be a tumultuous one, given that on the first day of their honeymoon, the couple got into a fight, which was sort of physical. In her 2019 memoir, A Song for You to That Effect, Robin Crawford, a friend and former assistant to Whitney Houston, revealed this awful occurrence that happened on their honeymoon. She admitted that there was indeed a fight between the newlyweds during their honeymoon days. After they reached the city, Houston had a clear mark on her face, so Crawford wanted to know the reason. Houston deliberately minimized the cut, calling it a disagreement that became a fight after she threw a glass. The cut was caused by the shattering of the glass. From there on, there has always been one drama or the other about their relationship. Perhaps the only good thing about their marriage was their drug use together. 2016, Brown shed light on the struggles within their marriage. He placed more emphasis on Houston's intensified drug use post their daughter's birth. He reflected on how the brief stoppage from drugs during her pregnancy seemed to fuel a resurgence immediately after she gave birth. He said he tried to help her stop, but he was in a world of his own, doing his own drugs, and there was pretty much nothing he could do. To this, in the interview with Oprah in 2009, after she hadn't appeared for any interviews for 7 years prior, Houston herself acknowledged the gravity of her drug dependency. She revealed that cocaine and marijuana were her drugs of choice. She used to drink a lot of alcohol with her husband back then too. But she quickly realized the destructive power of alcohol, so she just stuck with her marijuana and coke. Houston's hairstylist and friend, Ellen LeVar, also said she tried to talk Houston out of her drug use, but her advice wasn't taken seriously. There was even a time on December 7th when Brown hit Whitney, and it was all because of drugs. Brown had explained in 2016 that he was angry at the dealer and had wanted to beat him up. But Whitney stepped in and hit her across the face. He explained that it was not intentional, and it was born out of the heat of the moment. Whitney appeared in all the court appearances, and even told CNN reporters that they were still together even with the visible bruise on her face. Whitney Houston was a sensational singer whose voice brought a lot of joy, happiness, and sometimes tears into our eyes. But her life was the opposite of her musical success. There was so much tumult, all because she made the mistake of getting into drugs and marrying a drug addict. Even though this might not have been the ending you were expecting, Whitney would still live long in our hearts and ears as one of the best vocalists to ever hold a mic. Thank you for watching the video.